Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Jennifer, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Elizabeth. How are you today, Elizabeth?
I'm doing great, thanks. I'm really excited about today's topic because it's something that so many English learners want to achieve, sounding more like a native speaker. It's not just about pronunciation, but also about intonation, vocabulary, and even body language.
Absolutely. Sounding more like a native speaker is a goal for many learners, but it's important to remember that it's a journey. Today, we're going to explore a variety of tips and techniques that can help you improve your fluency, build your confidence, and sound more natural when speaking English.
Yes, and we'll also discuss the importance of listening and mimicking, as well as some common mistakes to avoid. Later in the video, we'll have a call from one of our listeners who's been working on improving their English fluency, and we'll offer some feedback on how to refine their skills even further. But before we get started, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. And if you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Your support really helps us continue creating content to help you improve your English.
Let's start with one of the most important aspects of sounding like a native speaker, pronunciation. Pronunciation is crucial because it's the first thing people notice when you speak. One of the best ways to improve your pronunciation is by listening to native speakers and mimicking their speech. For example, you can listen to podcasts, watch TV shows, or even use language learning apps that focus on pronunciation.
That's right, Jennifer. Mimicking is a powerful tool because it helps you pick up on the subtle nuances of pronunciation, like how certain sounds are formed and how words are connected in speech. For example, in English, we often connect words together in a way that might sound different from how they're written. You might hear going to pronounced as gonna or want to as wanna. Practicing these connected speech patterns can help you sound more fluent and natural.
Exactly, Elizabeth. And don't forget about intonation and stress. Intonation refers to the rise and fall of your voice when you speak, and stress refers to emphasizing certain words or syllables. In English, intonation and stress can change the meaning of a sentence, so it's important to practice them. For example, the sentence, "She didn't steal the money," can have different meanings depending on which word is stressed.
Yes, practicing intonation and stress can make a huge difference in how natural you sound. You can practice by listening to how native speakers emphasize words in different contexts and then trying to imitate that in your own speech. A good exercise is to record yourself speaking and then listen back to see where you can improve.
That's a great tip, Elizabeth. Another important aspect of sounding like a native speaker is expanding your vocabulary and using idiomatic expressions. Native speakers often use idioms, phrasal verbs, and slang in everyday conversation, so learning and using these can help you sound more natural. For example, instead of saying, "I'm very tired," you could say, "I'm exhausted," or "I'm worn out."
Absolutely, Jennifer. Using a variety of vocabulary and expressions makes your speech more dynamic and engaging. But it's also important to use these expressions correctly, so make sure you understand the context in which they're used. Another tip is to practice speaking with native speakers whenever possible. Language exchange partners, conversation groups, or even online platforms can provide valuable practice.
Yes, practicing with native speakers is one of the best ways to improve your fluency and get immediate feedback. It also helps you get used to different accents and speaking styles. And speaking of accents, reducing your accent can also help you sound more like a native speaker, but it's important to remember that having an accent is completely normal and not something to be ashamed of. The goal is to be understood clearly.
That's such an important point, Jennifer. It's not about losing your accent, but rather about making sure it doesn't interfere with communication. If you're interested in reducing your accent, you can focus on specific sounds that are different from your native language and practice them regularly. For example, if you struggle with the TH sound in English, you can practice words like think and these until you feel more comfortable.
Yes, practicing specific sounds can really help. Another key to sounding like a native speaker is being comfortable with fillers and pauses. Native speakers often use fillers like, and like to give themselves time to think while speaking. Using fillers naturally can make your speech sound more fluent and less rehearsed, but it's important not to overuse them.
That's a great point, Jennifer. Fillers can help your speech flow more naturally, but they should be used in moderation. Another tip is to focus on your fluency rather than perfection. It's okay to make mistakes when speaking. The important thing is to keep the conversation going. Native speakers make mistakes too, but they don't let it stop them from communicating.
Exactly, Elizabeth. Fluency comes from practice and the willingness to speak, even if it's not perfect. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become and the more natural your speech will sound. Speaking of practice, we have a caller today who's been working on improving their fluency and sounding more like a native speaker. Let's take the call. Hi there, you're on the air with Jennifer and Elizabeth. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Elizabeth. My name is Carlos, and I'm calling from Sao Paulo, Brazil. I've been working on improving my English fluency, and I'd love to get your feedback on how I can sound more like a native speaker.
Hi, Carlos. We're so glad you called in. We'd love to hear about your experience and what you've been doing to improve your fluency. Go ahead and share with us.
Sure. I've been practicing a lot by watching English movies and TV shows, and I try to mimic the way the actors speak. I've also been working on reducing my accent, especially with the TH sound, which is difficult for me. I've noticed some improvement, but I still feel like I don't sound completely natural when I speak.
That's fantastic, Carlos. You're doing all the right things by watching and mimicking native speakers, and it's great that you're focusing on specific sounds like TH. One thing you might try is recording yourself speaking and then comparing it to native speakers. This can help you identify areas where you can improve your intonation, stress, or connected speech.
Yes, that's a great suggestion, Jennifer. Carlos, another tip is to practice using more idiomatic expressions and phrasal verbs in your conversations. For example, instead of saying, "I'm trying to improve my English," you could say, "I'm working on improving my English," or "I'm trying to get better at English." These small changes can make your speech sound more natural.
That's really helpful. Thank you. I'll definitely start incorporating more idioms and phrasal verbs into my speech. And I like the idea of recording myself. It sounds like a great way to track my progress.
You're doing an amazing job, Carlos. Keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. The more you practice, the more natural you'll sound. And remember, it's not just about pronunciation. It's also about being comfortable with the language and using it confidently.
Yes, Carlos, you're on the right track. Keep up the great work, and thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. We're sure you'll continue to improve and achieve your goals.
Thank you, Jennifer and Elizabeth. I really appreciate your feedback. I'll keep practicing and working on my fluency. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome, Carlos. Keep up the great work, and thanks for calling in. Take care.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. We really enjoyed hearing about your journey. Best of luck with your English practice.
Thanks, Jennifer and Elizabeth. Bye for now.
That was a great call from Carlos. He's doing an excellent job of improving his fluency, and with a few additional tips, he's well on his way to sounding even more like a native speaker.
Absolutely. Carlos's experience is a great reminder that sounding like a native speaker is about more than just pronunciation. It's about confidence, fluency, and using the language in a natural way. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become, and the more natural your speech will sound.
Definitely. And after hearing Carlos's story, it's a good time to reflect on your own journey to fluency. Are there specific areas you can work on, like intonation, stress, or using idiomatic expressions? These are all great ways to enhance your speaking skills and sound more like a native speaker.
That's a great point, Jennifer. It's also important to remember that sounding like a native speaker is a journey, and it's okay to take your time. Focus on making gradual improvements and celebrate the progress you're making along the way.
Yes, and don't forget that everyone's journey is different. Some people might struggle with certain sounds or phrases, while others might find intonation challenging. The key is to keep practicing and find what works best for you.
Exactly, Jennifer. And remember, the goal is communication. It's not about losing your accent or speaking perfectly. It's about being understood and connecting with others. So, embrace your journey and enjoy the process of becoming more fluent and confident in English.
That's such great advice, Elizabeth. So, To recap, today we've talked about how to sound more like a native speaker, including tips on pronunciation, intonation, stress, vocabulary, and fluency. We also discussed the importance of mimicking native speakers, practicing with others, and focusing on natural speech patterns.
Yes, and we heard a great example from Carlos, who shared his experience of improving his fluency and working on specific sounds. Remember, the key to sounding more like a native speaker is practice, patience, and a willingness to keep learning.
That's right, Elizabeth. And don't forget to have fun with it. Learning a language is an exciting journey, and every step you take brings you closer to your goal. Thank you all for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We have plenty more content coming your way to help you improve your English and sound more fluent.
We'll see you in the next video. Keep practicing and happy learning.
Bye for now.